Good afternoon, and thank you for joining me again. My name is Brother Edgar, and I have proof for you that God is real. He's real in my life. He saved me from death and hell, and I have started a new life, and God has become very, very real in my life. So thank you for listening. Just for a few moments, I'm going back to when I grew up as a refugee, and we didn't have much money. We didn't have food very often. We had to go in the woods and find food. Later on, we moved to a city called Dusseldorf in Germany because we hoped that one of the relatives there would be supportive of us. And as we moved there, it was Christmas 1951. And we still had a school day on December 24th, 1951. And I was all excited in school because I knew after school and that evening would be Christmas Eve. And in Germany, we would celebrate Christmas on Christmas Eve. So I started running from school. I ran past all of the burned out buildings, the bombed buildings. I ran to the building where I lived. We lived in the loft underneath the roof. They had made some small living spaces for refugees. But yet my mother was not upstairs. She was downstairs at the door, and she saw me running. And I was all excited, and I said, Mother, it's Christmas. And she looked at me, and she held out a hand to me, and she said, Son, I tried to sell some of the sweaters that I had made for Christmas to sell, but no one would buy the sweaters. So we only have 2 or 3 pennies for Christmas this year. There will be no Christmas tree. There will be no presents. There will be no food for you this Christmas. So be strong, my son. And I was very industrious even at that early age of about 9 years old. And I had gone into the burned out buildings to try and take out copper and iron and sell it at the scrap dealers. The police did not want us to do that because the odd-time bombs went off and we would die. But nevertheless, we had no income, and so we did this. I went and looked where I possibly might go into a building to find copper or iron. But then I realized it was Christmas Eve and all of these scrap dealers would be closed that afternoon. I ran to a street called Reich, and I saw at the corner a Christmas tree vendor. He had still a lot of Christmas trees. People were buying. He could not hold the Christmas trees for all of the people. He was so busy. So I thought, would I dare to ask him that I might help? I'm only 9 years old, but perhaps I could help. And so I wandered closer, and when there was a moment's peace for him, I went over and I said, could I help you to show some of the Christmas trees to the people who wanted to buy them? And he said, sure, come on, son, help me. And so I was there from about 1:30 in the afternoon until about 5:30, and it started to turn dark. The Christmas tree vendor had sold all Christmas trees except one, and I was hoping perhaps I would be able to get that Christmas tree. We would not have food, perhaps we would not have presents, but oh, how I wished to have a Christmas tree with light, because I knew that Christ Jesus was the light of the world, and it reminded me of light in a dark world. So anyhow, the Christmas tree vendor started to pack up, and then he took the Christmas tree and he said to me, you know, son, I'm very poor. I have a large family and I need this Christmas tree for my own family. And he said, by the way, I did not make much money on selling the trees. And the money I have, I cannot give to you because I need it for my own family. Thank you, my son. And he said, thank you. And he went. I sat on the curb and tears started streaming down my face. I had worked all afternoon, but I could not help my own family. And as I sat there was some garbage this Christmas tree vendor had left behind. There were some branches that had been chopped off, and I took those branches. There was one broken little Christmas tree. It was broken in half because it had no branches on one side and it was very ugly. And so I took that Christmas tree and I took the branches and I started to wander home. As I came to the building, I started to go upstairs. My mother opened the door. She saw my face. She knew already what happened, and she said, don't worry, son, don't worry. We will still celebrate Christmas. And I said, but mother, we have no food. We have no Christmas tree. We have no presents. How can we celebrate the birth of the Son of God? And she said, don't worry, my son. And she said, go and clean up and wash yourself. And my sister came and said, do what mother tells you to do. I gave her the branches. And then we went into the little bedroom to clean up and to change for Christmas. It was a tradition for us to get dressed up for Christmas Eve, to have Christmas Eve dinner first, to light the Christmas tree, and then to open up our presents, and after that to go for an evening service, a midnight service in the snow to celebrate the birth of Christ. Well, I didn't think anything of that could possibly happen, and so my sister and I got cleaned up and we got dressed up, and then I heard a little bell ringing from the other room, and that was the sign in days gone by where mother said, once you hear that little bell, then you can come into the room and celebrate Christmas. And so we came to this other room, which was a small kitchen. And when we opened up the door, here at the back of the kitchen was the most beautiful Christmas tree I had ever seen in my life. And beloved, I have a picture of a Christmas tree here. Of course, in those days it was a different tree, but you can see it here. It was a beautiful Christmas tree like I had never seen in my life before. In those days we used real Christmas lights, and you could smell the pine needles. The whole aroma filled the room. And I saw the lights on the Christmas tree, and it reminded me. And so, beloved, I couldn't understand where mother had gotten this Christmas tree from. And she said, come children, we have nothing to eat, but we will sing a few carols. And so we sang Silent Night, Holy Night. We held hands, we wept a little, we didn't eat, we didn't have presents. But we sang, away in a manger, no crib for a bed. Even Christ was born in poverty, so that even the poor people would be able to accept him as the Messiah, as the Son of God. He could have come born in a great, beautiful castle, but he was born in a manger. And so, even as we were poor, we looked to this Christ child. Perhaps he was the solution in this world. We held hands for a period of time. We wept, we sang, then we went to bed. In the morning, it was always my task to make fire in a small wood stove. In those days, we also got some coal, and so I would have to start with sticks and little paper and start a little fire at 6 a.m. And as I started the fire, I looked at that Christmas tree in the corner and I said, where did this tree come from? I cannot believe it. And so I went over to the Christmas tree and I lifted up the branches, and there I saw what Mother had done. She had put a splice on this broken little tree, and then she had added the branches. She had put little holes into the stem, and she added some of the branches to cover up where branches were missing. And then she made this beautiful Christmas tree to remind us of the light of Christ. And even as I looked at that Christmas tree, it became a symbol for me of a broken Christmas tree. Yes, perhaps a broken tree, perhaps a broken Christmas, perhaps a broken life. And you see, my life was broken later on in life. I had gone into many things that were evil. I had left my family, and I should be in hell today. But God had mercy on me. He showed me the way back to Him, and I chose the right way and started a new life. And God has reconstructed my life, and now it looks much different. Yes, when you look closely at me, there are many broken places in me, but God has healed them. God, with His gentle hands, has touched my life, and He can touch yours. So I'd like to encourage you to look to the Son of God, to Christ Jesus, to make your life new. Thank you for watching, and the Lord be with you. Goodbye for now.